the hospital. Let's just settle into our meditation posture. And so if any of you have anyone in your own life who's going through some kind of difficulty, you can just kind of either bring them into the room with you, or just think of them. Imagine that they're here doing the practice with you. You can just think that you're sending all the kind of good energy out towards them, all the merit you're creating here. So just feet flat on the floor, about a hip's width apart, shoulders are aligned with the hips. And imagine your spine is a string of pearls of light stretching from the base all the way up through the crown of the head and beyond. Just lengthen the spine and breathe. And just go to the crown of the head and relax the scalp, the forehead, the eyes, the nose, the cheeks, and the mouth. And the back of the tongue, the temples, the back of the head, the back of the neck. Allow your shoulders and shoulder blades to drop down. Relax the throat, the chest, and the belly, and all of your limbs. And breathe. And just notice the sensation of the air as you're inhaling and exhaling. And then notice if there's any sounds in your environment, allow those sounds to be there, trying not to follow with the mind. And then just, pay some attention to the thoughts that are arising in the mind, as kind of Venerable Robina suggested this morning. Be aware of what's there, but don't get involved in it. And recognize the dust on the mirror, where we think we are seeing things clearly, it's usually driven by often by delusion. And that analogy is dust on the mirror. Try and take a step back from our dusty mirrors. Recognize that they might possibly be dusty. And so acknowledge that some of the stories that might be in our minds may not necessarily be accurate or correct. So just allow those stories to be released. And then bring to mind all the people of your life, your loved ones. The ones you don't like so much, and the strangers, and imagine they all change place at any time. And they're all equal. They wish to be happy, they wish to be free from suffering and having this extraordinary capacity for Buddhahood. So we think, we can dedicate this practice tonight for all these people of our life, my neighbors, either side. I think I heard from Sheil. She hasn't been coming. She's not been very well herself, and it's sort of because she's on East Coast time. So maybe send some thoughts out to Sheil. And anyone in your own life maybe having some difficulties. So I think there is no negativity that can't be purified. And this purification process is basically a psychological one. So we create negativity with our mind, so equally we can change it by creating positivity. So we start with the power of regret, and sincerely regret from the depths of your heart anything you have done to harm any living being on this day, in this life, and in all of our past lives, and think of specific actions of both your body and your speech, and then in general regret all. And the reason to regret is based on this logic of karma, and we experience everything due to our past karma, our past actions, and having harmed others, we ourselves will necessarily experience suffering in the future. We cannot bear the thought of any future suffering that we ourselves will experience. We know from our present suffering we don't want any more, so logically it makes sense to remove the karmic seeds before they ripen as future suffering for us. So think like this: I regret from the depths of my heart having harmed others with my body and my speech, having broken my vows because I do not want the future suffering. I'm sick of suffering, and also regret any anger, attachment, and the rest that are the cause of why we harm others. And then think again, I'm sick of this suffering. And then think, what can I do about it? Whom can I turn to? So here we come to the power of reliance. So we rely upon, we turn to this Buddha Vajrasattva, who we see as a doctor, who has methods that we can use to heal ourselves. So this image here, we just don't have to do all that detail if you don't want to. Just put this beautiful Buddha above the crown of your head. Really try and get a sense of this presence of this Buddha there. Imagine this blissful, radiant, white light, this healing energy above the crown of your head. You can also imagine this is the mind of your teacher manifesting in this form for your benefit. So he's sitting cross-legged on a white lotus. Has a beautiful, radiant face, and his eyes are long and peaceful and full of love and compassion for you and all those people of your life. And he has a sweet red mouth. His hair is black and held up in a top knot. His arms across to his heart. The left underneath the right. The left is holding a bell representing wisdom, and the right is holding a vajra, which represents the indestructibility of compassion. And their being crossed represents the union of these two. And this symbolizes enlightenment itself, the development of infinite wisdom and infinite compassion. To the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, I go for refuge until I'm enlightened. By this practice of meditating on Guru Vajrasattva, may I reach Buddhahood so as to benefit all sentient beings. So in order to develop compassion, we need to rely upon other beings, the very beings we have harmed and those who have harmed us, by developing compassion for them. So think particularly of people you've harmed recently and in the past, and then in general, all beings we have ever harmed since beginning this time. And then remember those people that maybe have harmed you and just have compassion for them, because the harm they've caused you will result as suffering for them in the future. So make a strong aspiration to do this practice of purification for the sake of all these beings, and think, I must purify for their sake. And then we come to the power of the remedy, and this is the medicine doing the practice of purification. And we start with the body, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful white nectar like coming out of a hose, quite forcefully from his heart, and it arcs around and enters your crown and pours into your entire body, filling you completely, and it keeps pouring into you until it forces out of your lower orifices all the harm you've ever done to any living being with your body in the form of inky liquid, and this pours out of you and disappears into space. Not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Didu Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Didu Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Didu Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Didu Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Hum Pe. So just be delighted that all the harm you've ever done to any sentient being with your body is now completely purified, and think there's no way you could do anything but benefit others now with your body. And next is the purification of your speech, and Vajrasattva very happily sends powerful nectar from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and forcefully enters your crown, filling your entire body, except this time forcing up to the top of your body all the negativity of your speech, and this overflows and disappears into space, not one atom left. So you just imagine all the gossip and the harsh speech and the useless speech and lying and talking badly about others behind their backs. All of this is purified by this powerful nectar filling you as you recite the mantra. Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Dida Meboa Sutokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anarakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shriyam Kuru Hum Ha Ho Bhagawan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sattva A Humpe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dinapatita Didu me boa, sitokaya me boa, sipokaya me boa, anorakta me boa, sawasidi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me, sitam shiyam kuru hum ha 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 ho bhagavan, sawa tata gata vajramami mutsa vajrabawa mahasamaya sata a hum pe, vajrasafa samaya manupalaya, vajrasafa dina patita, didu me boa, sitokaya me boa, sipokaya me boa, anorakta me boa, sawasidi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasafa Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasafa Dina Patita Dida Meboa Sitokaya Meboa Sipokaya Meboa Anurakta Meboa Sawasidi Mimpi Yatsa Sawa Kama Sita Me Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawatata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum. So again, feel so happy that your speech is now completely purified, and imagine it's not possible to do anything except benefit others now with your speech. And this includes the words that you say, that you hear, the words that you write, that you see. And now the purification of the mind, and Vajrasattva very compassionately sends powerful beams of light from his heart chakra, and this arcs around and enters your crown and fills your entire being. So you imagine when you walk into a pitch black room and you flick on that switch, the light instantly dispels the darkness of that room. So just imagine all the darkness of the negativity of your mind, so all your attachment and neediness and anger and bitterness and depression, grudges, resentment, jealousy, all of that instantly dispelled, not one atom left as we recite the mantra. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Dida me boa, Sitokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sawasidi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe, Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Dida me boa, Sitokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sawasidi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva Samaya Manupalaya Vajrasattva Dina Patita Dida me boa, Sitokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sawasidi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Dida me boa, Sitokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sawasidi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha Ha Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe, Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Dida me boa, Sitokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sawasidi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shiyam Guru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe, Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Dida me boa, Sitokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sawasidi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe, Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dina patita, Dida me boa, Sitokaya me boa, Sipokaya me boa, Anorakta me boa, Sawasidi me piyatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shiyam Kuru Hum Ha 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 Ho Bhagavan, Sawa Tata Gata Vajramami Mutsa Vajrabawa Mahasamaya Sata A Hum Pe. So just be delighted that all your delusions, and these are the cause of all of our own suffering and the source of our suffering and why we harm others with our body and our speech. And imagine these are just completely purified. They're gone. And now there's no space in your heart for anything other than love and kindness and forgiveness and wisdom and bliss and compassion. And next is the purification of even the imprints of negativity of the body, speech, and mind. And this time imagine Vajrasattva very happily sends light and nectar. And it fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from the mind. Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya Vajrasattva dinapatita Dida meboa, Sitokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anurakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum ha 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 ho Bhagawan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabawa mahasamaya sata aham pe, and Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dinapatita, Dida meboa, Sitokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anurakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum ha ha ho Bhagawan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabhawa mahasamaya sata aham pe, and Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dinapatita, Dida meboa, Sitokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anurakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum ha ha ho Bhagawan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabhawa mahasamaya sata aham pe, and Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dinapatita, Dida meboa, Sitokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anurakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum ha ha ho Bhagawan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabhawa mahasamaya sata aham pe, and Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dinapatita, Dida meboa, Sitokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anurakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum ha ha ho Bhagawan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabhawa mahasamaya sata aham pe, and Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dinapatita, Dida meboa, Sitokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anurakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum ha ha ho Bhagawan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabhawa mahasamaya sata aham pe, and Vajrasattva samaya manupalaya, Vajrasattva dinapatita, Dida meboa, Sitokaya meboa, Sipokaya meboa, Anurakta meboa, Sawasidi mimpi yatsa sawa kama sita me, Sitam Shriyam Kuruhum ha ha ho Bhagawan, Sawa tata gata vajramami mutta vajrabhawa mahasamaya sata aham pe. So this time, imagine that Vajrasattva very happily sends light and nectar. It fills you completely and eradicates even the subtlest imprints of negative energy from your mind. I think we just did that, actually. So now imagine you're completely purified and there's not one atom of negativity left in your mind stream. So even the subtlest obscurations to your enlightenment have been removed. So this last one in particular, when you're sort of, it's very subtle energy we're talking about here. It's just kind of, sometimes when you pull out a weed, this is kind of a gross analogy, but you'll pull out a weed, and if you leave even the tiniest kind of cell of plant material in the ground, it can kind of pop up again. It can grow again. So it's almost like, the analogy they use in the text is wiping clean a jar that smells of garlic, sort of getting that extra smell out. I also like to think of it as very much of an energetic, sort of an energetic cleanse. So there's no chance for any kind of habit energy to kind of pop up its head at some point down the track. So that's what this extra set's for. So now the power of resolve, and this is the fourth and final step in the purification process. And really crucial. This is determination to not harm with our body and our speech and our mind. And without having some level of commitment and determination, we're just going to keep doing the same old things over and over again. So think of something you would like to work on that you have been working on. First of all, make sure you rejoice in your efforts and everybody else's efforts. You know, if it's only something you can only work on for a few minutes at a time, even a few seconds at a time. And this determination to not do again gives us kind of strength, gives us guardrails. So imagine Vajrasattva is delighted with us and wants to merge with your mind and melts into white light and absorbs into you through your crown. And think, my teacher's body, speech, and mind, Vajrasattva's body, speech, and mind, and my own body, speech, and mind are the same. And so Rinpoche would also recommend to meditate on emptiness. In emptiness, there is no I, the creator of negative karma. There is no action of creating negative karma, and there is no negative karma created. So at whatever level you understand emptiness, just place your mind there for a moment. You can think of all phenomena as being empty. They do not exist from their own side. You can also think that the way things appear to me may not necessarily be the way they actually exist. So let's just dedicate all the merit, all the positive energy you've created doing this practice this evening to all those beings in your life, my precious neighbors. And so anybody else that you can think of in your mind that might benefit from the energy of this practice. I think, may all the virtuous karma I've created from doing this practice ripen as my enlightenment for the sake of sentient beings as quickly as possible. And then think for a strong wish for His Holiness the Dalai Lama to live long and to continue to be able to teach, for the swift return of Lama Zopa Rinpoche, and then for all of your own precious teachers to live long. Okay, everyone. Lots of love. Go to bed, all of you East Coast people. What's even us West Coast people should go to bed now. All right. Thanks a lot, everybody. Lots of love. Thank you for hosting, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Okay. Thank you very much.